All right, Pebbles, take a knee. We need to have a talk. You've been keeping up with the happenings of an incarcerated man in the Michigan Department of Corrections, and since you've been paying attention, you know that things often occur here that are outside of our control and are unpredictable. And even when everything does work out right, it's very stressful and limiting, and you really got to find a bunch of workarounds to get on the phone. And usually if one or two things falls by the wayside, doesn't land in our favor, we can overcome it, right? Well, there seems to be an amalgamation of things that are currently taking place that is going to force us to take a brief, temporary hiatus. But not to fear, we're not going to leave you guys high and dry. Well, before we get into it, let me just let you in a little bit on what's going on. Our fearless and amazing and ever-present co-host, JD, he's on vacation for a couple weeks. And we were planning on laying down a couple episodes before he took off, so that, like we normally do when he's got his other stuff going on. And we weren't able to do that for a couple of reasons. One of them is that the way the phone situation is taking place in NDOC is, it used to be you could make as many calls as you wanted. So doing a show wasn't that tough. And then I wrote out to a joint that gave you a 5-minute wait, and then they did this thing where statewide there's a 15-minute wait in between. And there are workarounds to it for the more driven inmates or convicts, let me say convicts, of which I am one, right? So you pull a couple strings and you work it out. But sometimes those strings just snap suddenly, or the string that person is attached to locks up, and so that part goes away, which makes recording full episodes with continuity, where you're just flowing with someone. I mean, even stopping every 15 minutes and calling right back is a pain in the ass, but when you have to get back in line, it proves to be a little difficult. So I need the phone action to be working on point. And once I thought I got all the stuff out of the way when it came to the edits and everything, it turns out I get a call out the other day that says I have an ASAT orientation. Now, for those of you that have been on this ride with me for a while, the last thing I have to do is an advanced substance abuse treatment program. It's ASAT. And that's one of my institutional requirements before going home. Now, we're so overcrowded here that it usually is about 6 months before you go home. So right when you're about to see the board, usually get in class. And there are people in here that I know that have done everything what they're supposed to do, and they're past their ERD because they haven't finished their class, to no fault of their own. Well, I'm 20 months out, and I got a call out for orientation for ASAT. And it's a 4-month-long comprehensive program that you have to do before you get out. I was panicked at first because I wasn't planning on timing like this, but I've been rolling with the punches long enough to know you just deal with it when they come in. So I have this orientation. I've got a new semester of college coming up. I got a co-host. He's on vacation. And the phone situation's jacked. So we're not taking a lot of time off, but we need to buy ourselves a couple of weeks while we regroup. There's also something else that's going on that, because you guys are all proxy convicts now, just from being listeners of the show, that I promise I'll fill you in on later when I get the chance. But being convicts, sometimes you got to let shit settle before you talk about it. And I'm not trying to be too enigmatic right here, but we just want you to stick around with us. Mama C has done an amazing job. She picked out 3 classic episodes that's going to cover 3 different co-hosts along the trajectory of this show. There's one by the Captain. There's one with Cousin Greg, and then there's one with JD. She picked out a couple classics that span the breadth of this little experiment of ours. So hopefully we won't even need to use all 3. Maybe we'll get back after using 1 or 2 of these. But in any case, I wanted to give you guys a heads up first so you didn't just jump into these older episodes and go, what the hell's going on? So for some of you, you might not have heard it before. Those who've been with us a while will. And even just from getting the description, there's a lot there that I'd forgotten. So with that being said, I love you. Stick around. We just need a little breathing room here to take care of some stuff. We love you forever. Yeah, enjoy some of the old shit. And stay tuned, because guess what? This is the last big thing that had to happen before I was eligible to go home. And now the commutation is going to be that much more undeniable, let's say. So, on behalf of myself, Mom and T, we love you.
All subject matter in the preceding podcast is entirely alleged and not admissible in a court of law. And just in case you rat bastards get any ideas, the hosts of this podcast are notorious and well-documented liars with no legally admissible credibility. This is Mama C, and you're listening to Notes from the Pen podcast. Welcome to prison, bitch.
I got a theory about this. That old Douglas Stanhope has a big following over there. And he does, like, I think there's an Edinburgh comedy festival. So he goes over there and does festivals. So he's got a following over there. And a lot of the people who listen to his podcast were turned on to ours. So that's what I think. It makes more sense when I think about that.
Yeah, I think we'll always be forever gracious to him giving us shout-outs and help put us on the map.
Oh, yeah, Stanhope, anything he ever needs. If we need to bury a body, we're going out there, no questions asked. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in the desert digging. What's up? Who is this? I'm not asking questions. Let's just get rid of this body. Like, what do you need, Stanhope? He doesn't want anyone talking about Grady. He's a mensch. Love him. Which you have like a kind of a false fight war that you like to play up that doesn't really exist.
Oh, I'm allowed to discuss that now?
Do you want me to explain it? So, Captain Freddy has this antagonistic bent to his. That's like part of our relationship. So automatically anyone that's close to anything like a big homie or like stealing shine, he likes to pretend he's beefs out with, even though he's not at all. And so... Oh, no. Big beef. He's kind of that Stanhope stealing my bits or like subconsciously like using shit that we've mentioned, and maybe he sucked up or absorbed subconsciously or through osmosis or whatever. And so I have to hear this occasionally. I haven't heard it in a long time. But
no, because I didn't think it was usable stuff. But of the horrible ideas. And I purposely never mentioned this because I don't want to, be accused of throwing shade or something, biting the hand that fed us or anything like that. But of the shticky ideas, I don't know if the viewers would remember that in the very beginning of this when we discussed maybe making a podcast with you on the other side of the Constantine wire, I wanted to pick on Mama C. I wanted to do, all of these like dumb, shticky things. And then as soon as I know that, that you, like, I want to pick on Stanhope. Now, obviously that's a losing battle on my end. However, there's part of, I kind of wanted to play like I'm the big brother. I'm like the angry housewife, and I'm married to Bobby, and Bobby's flirting with the younger, prettier neighbor. And I'm like, all right, what's going on here? What do you mean you're friends with Stanhope? No, you're friends with me. I'm your bud. Yeah, I was gonna.
Got your apron on. You're looking out the kitchen window at us. Yeah,
with my brow raised, and some sort of hate or disgust. I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm purposely seasoning your dinner less.
Yeah.
But you're right. I stepped away from that because we weren't doing sticky stuff. Plus, it's probably a bad idea on my end anyway.
I will say this about Stanhope. His vitriol is real. Like, you know what I mean? He's a saint of a man, but his vitriol is real. It's like a real thing. It's not like he doesn't put it on. It's like a real thing.
Yeah, but that's what makes him funny. I mean, because it's genuine.
Oh, no. I don't throw this term around. God, this is going to get real ball juggling here, testicle juggling here. But I don't use this term a lot. But he's one of those comedians who's an actual artist. And I think, you were familiar with him, but then when you started watching some of his shit, you were even like, and this isn't going to help the beef much, but you were like, holy shit, this guy's a genius. Like the subject matter he can talk about. And, he's not writing bits as much as he's like releasing steam. You know what I mean? In a way that just works.
Oh, the way he weaves it together, and it's delightful. It's another level.
Yeah, he's one of the real ones, and I fuck with that guy heavy. Like I said, whatever he needs. Any of you meth heads showing up outside the Bisbee compound, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be out there providing security. And he's like so approachable that people will like just show up there. I'll be like, hey, I'm on a 3-day bender. I'm driving from Maine on meth. Like, I'm coming to your house. And he's like, don't do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, I've heard about it on his podcast.
Oh, yeah? My big home. Oh, you getting material? Oh, yeah. Know your enemy. Did I ever tell you about the time that I tried to, the one and only time I tried to track down my real dad, my biological father?
You may have. I don't remember. Maybe I was the thick-tongued Freddie, and you did tell me something about it, but I don't remember it very well, if at all. I would like to remind everybody that you're listening to the Notes from the Pen podcast.
This is the LOP Chronicles.
Yeah, chopping it up with Chino.
You douche. So people ask me, when they're like, they'll ask me, and I say, listen, my dad's trained, I don't know the bastard. He's a real rebel, just out there shooting loads and chicks and abandoning his progeny, like a real rebel. They were married, though. Him and my mom were married, mostly for a green card, I suspect. Freeloading bastard. And so people will ask me, they'll be like, have you ever tried to contact your dad? To which I go, yeah, once, disaster. And it wasn't, for a long time, I was like, no. Yeah.
Are you an anchor baby for your father's citizenship?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Well, I think he married my mom, so I don't know if that would.
Right, that would already probably give him citizenship.
Yeah, I feel like anchor babies are like a couple who don't have citizenship that drop anchor.
Yeah, okay.
Drop a 9-pound anchor. Oh, yeah, well, the consensus about the boat type is that it's a pirate vessel, for sure.
Okay.
That's a consensus. And it makes sense. Why wouldn't it be? Outlaw. Skull and crossbones. So there was one time, and this is the thing that reminded me of this was that, I get a kick out of making certain people laugh. Like when I make you laugh, it's like extra. It's different from it's really easy to make Mama C laugh. But like if I get you, it's like a little feather. I'm like, oh my God, and obviously Stanhope's the same way. And this story is like the hardest I've got Stanhope to laugh. And it wasn't set up like as like funny, you know what I'm saying, story or whatever. And I just told it to him because he asked me if I ever tried to contact my real dad. I said, yeah, I don't know. Like he's been incommunicado forever. Like I don't, like apparently like he like sent me $50 when I was 2 and like said happy birthday in broken English over the phone to me or something. My mom was holding up to my head, right? And so I don't remember him at all. I don't remember talking to him. I told my mom that I remembered him once. I felt like I did. She's like, no, you didn't. And then I was like, okay, well she's like, no, you don't. So I just wiped that memory from my head. I'm like, all right, I guess I don't. I swear I remember the bastard. Anyways, I'm like starting to like get to that. I'm probably 21, 22 or something. I'm starting to get like, I don't hate the guy as much as I grew up, like kind of was forced defensively to approach that relationship. Like, fuck that bitch. I hate him. Just bailed on us, you piece of shit. And I mean, ironically, I guess what you might not suspect was that it was like racism against my mom not being Asian from his family, is what she says. I don't know, who knows. So he just bailed on us, and that was it. So it was like real aggressive. And as he got older, and especially when I got older than he was, they were 19. They were really young. And I was older than him. By the way, I have 2 pictures of him. You want to take a guess at what they are? One's like he was in the military with my mom. That's how they met, and it's just like a little tiny face. The other, it's like 2 pictures that they're like side by side, but they're connected. You want to take a wild guess at what he's doing in the pictures?
Mugshot.
No, absolutely not. Worse.
Oh, worse than mugshot.
Probably similar to how my hair is now. Almost like Bruce Lee-ish hair, but like parted down the middle. Full gi, black belt on, in Taekwondo stances.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Black and white. Black and white. Handsome fella. You know what I mean? Like a good-looking kid. Not like he's like an extra from a Bruce Lee movie type Asian. He's not like a nerdy, weird, whatever. So, shout out to South Korea, you nerdy, weird looking Asian. So those are my 2 reference points of him. And he's like 19, and then when I got older than him, I was started to like have less vitriol aimed towards him, and I'm just like, well, they were kids and whatever. Who knows what's going on? The guy could be dead for all I know. So I started putting feelers out, and I was like, hey, Mom, maybe, what was his full name again? And do you know where he lives? And she's like, well, he was in California last, Bay Area. This is his name. This is his your aunt's name, his sister's name. And so eventually we get to a point where she compiles like a list of like 20 names from that area of his full name, right? Maybe it was like 10 or 15. So she like mails it to me, and it's going around with me for like 2 years. I ended up going out to Orlando and staying with my sister for a minute before I get my own place. And she has a roommate, Jenna, who I dated for a little while. We would get super shit-faced and go listen to live music. It was like a party house apartment, you know. They were like 20. I think Jenna was like 20, 21. I was 23 at the time. So I have this list, and we get super, super shit-faced on Jen one night. And I break this list out. I'm like, tonight's the night. Because why not? Because this is how you want to meet your dad, right? Yeah. You want to be like slurring, super shit-faced. Listening to like sad music and shit. So I pull the list out, it's all crumpled up, and I'm like, look at this. And I'm like, I'll do it. You think I won't do it? And basically talk to myself. Everyone's like, we don't give a shit. And I'm like, I'll do it. And they're like, okay, well, whatever. So I'm sitting at the thing. I know there's a time difference. It must be like 3 in the morning. Now, I'm not doing math so well, but I'm assuming, it's like 8 o'clock there. Because he's in California, you know. Right. Little do I know it's midnight there. So I'm like, okay, well, logical. Let's start at the top of the list. So I start calling people, cold calling people to find my dad. Right. All of them got his last name. So automatically, when they pick up, I'm like, don't lie to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already like suspicious of them. I'm like, hey, she used to live, and I started just giving them these geographical questions and timeline questions, right?
So are they sleeping? Or they're not saying, do you know what time it is?
Of course they're sleeping, right? But I'm not. They're like startled. Like, who is calling here at midnight? Like, who's dead? What's going on? And I'm like, no, just settle down. Listen to me for a second. Were you in Michigan in 1980? You know what I mean? Like, and they're like, what? Like, what is going on? So I'm getting a lot of hang-ups, and I'm getting a lot of like, a little attitude, a little attitude. And so as I go down the list,
well deserved. Oh, you're getting mad?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm getting worked up. I'm like, I'm gin drunk. And I'm like, these heartless bastards. I'm still not even thinking what time it is. I can tell I'm like waking someone up, but I'm like, yeah, they're a disciplined people. Those are my people. They're disciplined. They'll probably sleep. Who knows? They'll be all right. And so I'm going down the list, getting more worked up, more let down by my real dad and like how that whole shit went down. That I'm drunk on gin, cold calling these people. And I get down the list and hang out, and there's like little short, and then I reach this guy who I talked to I'm assuming it's his wife first, and I asked for his name, and she was like, yeah, she put him on the phone, and he was irate. Well, he wasn't irate, but he was like, what what is it? Like, what are you, you're just calling people to see? And by this time, I'm on the verge of tears, and I start ranting to him. I start going, I'm like crying. I'm going, I'm just, where are you? I'm 23. Drunk out of my mind. I'm going, I'm just a kid trying to find his dad. Right? Just shit-faced drunk. And this guy goes, he ends up talking me down. Like, he's being an asshole at first, rightfully so. And he ends up like, okay, hey, listen, man, though. And he's got a heavy accent, but he's like, he's a good human being. He's like, listen, man, like, settle down. What's going on? And I'm like trying to explain to him, and I'm like a mess. Everyone that was in like the living room is gone now because it's like awkward in there. So I'm just alone in there on the phone, like just drinking gin straight out the bottle still. And he ends up talking me down, and he's like, hey, basically is what he's saying. He's like, hey, asshole, like, that's good and shit, and I hope you find your dad, and like, but maybe don't be shit-faced and calling at midnight. You know what I mean? We're an industrious people. We go to sleep at a reasonable hour, and you might know that if your goddamn dad had stuck around. Which he didn't say. I added that for effect, and that's the line that got Stanhope. But basically, that was my experience of, and we kind of like bonded, and then we hung up, and I was like, "You're my dad now." And then I hung up, and then that was the one and only time I ever tried to track down my biological father. I feel like that might have been him.
You're a mess.
Oh, wow. What? Like next level. Yeah.
I can totally see you drunk on gin, teary-eyed, holding the neck of the bottle, taking horrible, slugs off this gin bottle, and then like wiping the drool with the back of your hand that's still attached to the neck of the bottle, and being like, okay, that was my dad. I have closure. And like, people looking back in the living room like, yeah, I think he's all right. Yeah, he snapped out of it. And you're like, oh, the weight is off my chest. I feel so much better now, Dad.
I should have called him first thing in the morning. I'm like, hey, Dad, I know it's you. I know it's you. Don't you lie to me. That's what happened last night. Don't you lie.
Can I get your address so I can send you some pictures of me in Little League?
I'm on the way out there. I got this picture of you in your gi, full black belt. Nice. Yeah. So that's an American Dad story right there. The only way. Come on, tell me that's not completely on brand for me.
No, that was you at 23 for sure. And we probably should have done a little bit better job of noticing and different mental health issues that we could have, because you know what I mean. Like, yeah, you would be a bit much sometimes, and that is perfectly on brand. Now, something that you mentioned at the beginning of this, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I feel like I think it's kind of weird how you internalize, or how you, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but it's so weird to me that when you think of Asian stereotypes, you catapult immediately to negative. And when I think of Asian and I think I'm in the majority, and there's some sort of like self-loathing or some sort of Toroism that you're on. Because whenever I think of Asian stereotypes, I think like all positive. Like, yeah, those Asians, they're smarter than me. They're smarter than me at math, even English, and they can play woodwind instruments. Like, this isn't fair.
First of all, that's not a thing, the woodwind instrument thing. And I think you should also be careful of like shooting from your vantage point, because I can make the same argument for, you could think about what that would sound like if you said that to a black person. If you're like, no, you got all the good ones. You can dance real good. You got big dicks. You know what I mean? They'd be like, well, come on, man. No, but that's the things I think of when I think of. Yeah, but what about the fact that you think that we're violent criminals? You know what I'm saying? And I get what you're saying, and I know you well enough to know that you don't think that. And I've even had, we talked about this a little bit, I've even had people go like, oh yeah, but like I think of you as, if they're white, they'll say like, I think of you as white. You're like, oh, you're white. And I'm like, okay, I think like you're trying to be nice or something, like you're trying to say whatever, but
I could see that being annoying from your vantage point. But like you bringing up how Asian men aren't seen as masculine or sexual, and I'm like, now, of course, this is completely from, Whitey McWhite viewpoint.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I was shocked to learn that was even, like, I'm like, okay, I guess okay, yeah. I'm thinking of, like, Hollywood films and stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's how I guess that's how Asians are portrayed, but is that, like, huh? Okay. And then I, like, think of, like, so many kung fu movies that I've seen, or, Bruce Lee type stuff, and I'm like, what do you mean that you're soft, or or Asians are never aggressive, or, I'm thinking of like samurai swords or samurais, and I don't know. And then I don't know. But you're right. That's from my vantage point, which is completely skewed.
Listen, that's fair. That the positive things do exist, and I was just kind of thinking that when we were talking about accents, like between phone calls, and I was walking around. But here's the thing: if you talk to other Asian men, Greg knows exactly what I'm talking. Any Asian dude that I've been around knows exactly.
Thank you for using GTL.
Well, the point I was kind of making is that you're your opinion that like maybe it's more centralized towards my individual personality is not my experience from talking to other Asian people, which, you know, whenever I'm on a prison yard, there was Dang and Chang were over in 10 block, and instantly, like, we all like, hey, what's up? You have slanty eyes, what's up? Who are you? Where are you? You know what I mean? We like check in with each other. And Greg, like, it's pretty common knowledge amongst Asian men that we're aware of this thing. That we all, if you ask almost anyone I've ever talked to about that, it's like an unspoken, like, yeah, of course, yeah. And I personally haven't experienced too much of that as far as like people like writing me off when they see me or know me or anything. It's a thing that I'm aware of, that like what I would say if someone just described me to someone, I would be self-conscious or aware of maybe some of the things that people would assume, right? Like, I think most people would say like, oh, you're not, and this is like bias on my part, but you're not like your stereotypical Asian, right? Which, what is that even like? Yeah, okay, I guess, but you know, I don't really know how to elaborate on it much more than like we've already done before. Like if you want to watch United Shades of Grey, I think it was the first season. W. Kamal Bell from CNN does a whole show on that.
On Asian stereotypes?
It's like 3 segments, like most shows, and one of them's about like the objectification of Asian women, of being like almost like objects, and then the demasculinization of the Asian male. And it's like goes back and they date the history of like, they'll show, you know, propaganda style like drawings and it goes back. It's a real thing. Now, how much of that, like, it's not like you were reading any of that, but how much of that has seeped into like kind of some of the shit we were talking about earlier today? How much of that has seeped into culture and become a thing that in the, you know, all the way even up into the 80s and 90s until recently, like the Asian guy in most movies, unless they are a foreign-made film, which Bruce Lee's were, and the original Jackie Chan ones were, made in Asia, made in China. Unless they were those films, in America, for the most part, you were Long Duck Dong or Takashi from Revenge of the Nerds, or, you know what I mean? Those Asian stereotypes with the Japanese guy with the camera around his neck and the big black frame glasses and, you know, shit like that. Non-entities physically, kind of. You know what I mean? Now, some of it changed from stars like Jean-Claude Van Damme, who some of the white movie stars from the 80s and 90s and going up that were into culture and maybe like respected guys like Bruce Lee, so he would have dudes like Bolo, a big Asian dude and jacked Asian dude in his movies. Those guys started to change it, but if you look back through history, there's a lot of that shit, man. And I think there's guys like me, and I know Greg's like this, and the type of Asians you meet in prison who probably consciously or subconsciously like rebelled so hard against that shit that's like, oh, I know I did for a fact. There's no question about it. Like most of the fights I got into, and I can't even tell you how many fights I got into through grade school, were like, hey Ching Chong, like shit like that, and it's like, okay, what's up? Like, we got recess at 3. You think I'm not going to be out there thumping on you or making you earn? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there was a lot of that. That's some of the things I talked about. I like to talk to Cassius about. They close your eye. They're chasing us off. I'm going to hit you up later, maybe talk to the old fake tongue Jeremy.
No, hit me up at like noon, right?
All right.
Yeah, okay. What's up?
Shit. They took forever to break chow because we were getting our stimulus bags. So they locked us all down, and while they passed them out, goddamn socialists.
Socialists?
Yeah, just spreading the wealth evenly. Didn't have to do enough for it. So I said, and they gave me their bag. I called the PO socialist.
Did you?
Yeah. I guess it was a real, I guess you don't take me that serious unless I refused it.
You didn't refuse it though, right?
It was actually a good, decent bag. 3 full-size bags of chips and like a 3 Musketeers, a Reese's thing, in I don't know, some like little Debbie Swiss rolls, and it's like three rows of a pack of strawberry cream cookies, 3 rows of it, like a full size little thing.
Okay.
Legitimate. Then you can spend all that, and a lot of it's exclusive. Like the strawberry cookies, you haven't been able to get those for years. One of the bags of chips is stuffed jalapeno ruffles, like type chips, and they're hot as fuck. And Hollywood's already bought 6 of them.
Oh.
That's all big money. That's all good currency. So.
Is Hollywood? Is this an investment, or does Hollywood want to eat them?
He wants to eat them all because you can't order them on store anymore. I took them off like a couple of years ago. He's trying to get mine. I don't want to give it to him. I said no.
Do you feel that the food in prison? I know we've talked about food as, you know, pizza, corn, lettuce, ha ha ha, or different things, but is the food screwing up people's health?
Oh man.
Because you talk all the shit you just told me that's in that bag. I'm like, I don't think I'd eat any of that shit. Like, I don't eat poorly. That's probably a privileged thing for me to say, and I'm not in prison. I guess if I was in prison, I'd be smashing chips and strawberry cream cookies.
Well, I don't eat any sweets. Right? I'm gonna save these cookies for the last one. I don't order any sweets. I don't do none of that. But I'll eat them occasionally. Like when I have a craving for sweets, I feel like it's like a time to eat sweets. Like my body needs like sugar. You know what I mean? So I'll go ahead and eat it because it's really rare that I have a craving. But
I'm in the same boat.
My number one concern about damage the prison sentence is doing to me is dietary. The food is. Imagine if you just lived off of gas station food, and not just gas station food, like just like the like dry storage aisle. Like it's horrendous, man. It's everything's so high. And I told you I had a really bad heartburn. Today's the first day where it's not really like fucking me up, and I'm like getting my appetite back. I don't know what the fuck it is, but even like eating like chips are like a luxury for me. Like in Secure Pack, I'll order a couple bags, and I don't hardly ever order them on store. You know, I'm on some survival pack shit. But yeah, man, that's the number. Like, I can't afford to eat healthy and take multivitamins and fish oil and all that. I can't afford it. I mean, I could afford to buy that stuff, but I'd go hungry. You know, I'd be malnutrition in other ways. I don't think most guys worry about it in here. I do worry about it so much. Everything's so rich in sodium, and they have this sheet printout you can get from the healthcare. Well, something like Neck had it, and I would look at it, and the lowest sodium is the chili one, but I get low sodium hot and spicy vegetable ramen, and I'll get chili ramen, and when I make it, I'll use only like half of the seasoning each time. But that's like the healthy food is a goddamn pack of ramen. The tuna fish, it's in like the because we can't get 10 cans, it's in like the terrible pouch.
Those seem to be more popular now on the outside. Like they're all over the grocery store aisle next to the cans. You can get the terrible pouch in like single serves. Or
how
for
much are they?
$1.49, I think. If you do Sunkist or Starkist.
They're $4. They're $4 in here.
For a single serve? For 16 grams of protein?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. $4.
$4?
$4.
I keep them in the bread truck, for like, I always like to have like little bread truck, something in the bread truck could go bad, but if it's in a sealed, there's only so many things that, you can, that I would eat that aren't going to go bad. You know what I mean? I can't just put a couple chicken breasts back there. So one of the things I do is those pouches of tuna. And, it's usually the first thing I eat in the morning, and it's, you get 16 grams of protein, and, I don't know, keep rolling. $4?
I don't know, it's too rich for my blood.
Yeah, instead you have to eat ramen noodles.
And then the meats, think about what meat you get. It's just full of sodium. Salami, and then, I order a bunch of fish steaks, and then a little bit of cheese.
Cat head.
But man, we just had chili mac over there, and it's just so fucking disgusting. The beans I eat, I go over there, and I swear to you, I don't even chew them. I just swallow them whole. They're so terrible, but they're protein, so just swallow them whole. And then, I don't know. I've never had this, like, heartburn bullshit. I still have it lingering a little bit today, but today's the first day. It's not really bad. Yeah, the food thing is a huge worry because I feel like there's probably irreparable damage. I've never had high blood pressure in my life, and I've always had like stellar high, like enough to be like, look, it says this is what you're supposed to be, like perfect. When when you go into like Walgreens and put your arm in the cuff and shit.
Right, you're a perfect 120 over 80 or whatever it is.
Yeah, just always like stellar, and when I went over there for last year for my birthday. Granted, I just ate a ton of, Big Rob hit me on Big Rob. We're going to call him Big Rob now because that's really what he goes by. Big Rob had made me he has all exclusive shit. He made me like my own like pizza calzone type thing. And I was just eating it like minutes before I went over there. So my blood pressure. She's like, you been eating sodium? I'm like, have I? It's my birthday. Like, what do you, of course I have. Like, why can't my people deliver me? I don't know the solution, but this shit is so bad. And if they gave us healthier options, they wouldn't spend so much money on our health care.
Yeah. Well, one easy option was why not let you garden? You were gardening at a different joint. You could eat healthier if you could garden.
Mm-hmm. I definitely was. Back in the day, they used to have like farms to where we would supply our own beef so we get it real cheap.
That was my next thing. Why isn't there husbandry? Like, why didn't somebody watching after the chickens? Of course, I don't know that you would put guys with CSC over there with the chickens.
Can you fuck a chicken? Is that real?
Yeah, I have no idea. I would think some maniac would try it if you let the maniac go.
What do you even know about the mechanics of like what you would try? It seems like there's a lot of talons and like sharp objects around to be really risky. But you're right, someone would try it. Someone would fuck a chicken. Hey, why you got feathers all? Let's just change my pillow. All right, around your dick? Like, what's that? Why? You got a feather in your zipper, bud.
Scratch marks.
Yeah. But, they used to do all that stuff, and I think it just made too much sense. And they were like, why? Okay, this is too much sense. And I don't know, but I want to think that a company came in and was like, hey, man, we can provide you this, and we'll give you this kickback for some politician or something. You know what I mean? Oh, we'll support your campaign. Why don't you switch over? We used to provide all that shit, man. We used to, like some states still do down south, we used to garden all around and all that stuff. No more.
Yeah, I seriously, like, your health, now I get it, especially the more you explain it. Like, before I got it because I know you, but like, this is the most pragmatic. Fish steaks, yeah, they taste like shit. What's my other option? There is none. $4 single serve of tuna fish. Even if you're one of these people that gets like $125 a month, whatever you told me the limit was, $4 for a single serve? Like, those things are like 70 calories, 90 calories.
Those things don't fill you up. They give you some protein. They don't fill you up. Which is why I'm lucky I have help from like friends that and viewers who might throw a couple ducats my way, and it helps me supplement. But I'm lucky. You know what I mean? Like all these other guys, they got to do risky shit to like make ends meet. A lot of these guys, they got to hustle and do shit that's not legal in here, even if it's just fixing electronics. And then you do that and you get a bunch of tickets for it if you got a CEO or a unit officer, someone who's pissed at you and doesn't like it, and you're just fixing TVs, which are, there's no moral. You're not crossing any moral boundaries by fixing people's electronics for them. Then you get a bunch of tickets, and then you see the parole board, and the parole board's like, why were you doing this? You're not allowed to do this. And it's like, well, it was either I go hungry or I do that. So your solution, so then they're like, okay, we'll stay in there for another 12 months. How about that? Okay.
And you're like, and my options are go hungry or go back to doing what you just yelled at me for, even though I'm not crossing any line in ethics or morality.
Providing a service, man, actually good moral karma, I believe, because, someone like me, my TV shits out on me. I saved up 3 months. I didn't go to store for 3 months so I could order a TV, and the button stopped working within 2 months of getting it. Come on, man. Come on, I can't do that. I can't save up another $150 for a TV they sell out there for $30. I can't, man. I just can't do it. I mean, I guess I can, but then what? I wait. It's just so they like lean in and help you get that working, which should be working anyways. You know what I mean? You didn't do nothing wrong to it. It's just a piece of shit. And buy another one, a better one? No, you can't.
You have 1 minute remaining.
And so, yeah, this is you know, I mean, you're acutely familiar, especially now, and our viewers are too, with the nonsensical, the pizza, corn, and lettuce of it all on every avenue.
Think about even the planned obsolescence creates black market industries and jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the damn TV just worked like it should, even though you paid 3 times as much as you would on the outside for it, because it was built to take a shit and they were happy to sell it to you. Now we have to have guys that can fix that shit. Oh, but that's not okay. You know, you get trouble for that.
Yeah.
Well, so, you created the reason for the trouble. What?
We got to follow the rules, man. Order a new TV. I don't know what to tell you.
This is like our conversation about the war on drugs. Just makes no sense.
So doesn't it make you wonder, like, what's going on? Like, how?
Thank you for using GTL.
So what happens when an 18-year-old comes to prison for 10 years or however long, 5 years, and he just sees this? Maybe he doesn't like put everything together about how it's this whole system it is, right? And then he gets out after being beat over the damn head for however long with lose situation, or go without or starve or like expect whatever. And then he gets out with no real rehabilitation, and then you expect him to respect authority and rules. When everywhere you look in here, he became a man in here, and everywhere he looks, none of the rules make sense. And not only do they make sense, you have to break them if you're going. You know what I'm saying? Some of them, at least. If you're gonna, you have to, man. You have to. It's just whether you get popped doing it or not. You know, you learn like, oh, you can't follow all the rules, but what you can do is be slick. So then they get out. You get out, and it's like, you know, recidivism rate. You come back. What are you doing? I can't believe it. Why didn't you get a job that you can't get because you had to check the box that said felon, and you can't stay in an apartment because you have a felony? And oh, you went out there and sold drugs? You piece of shit. What do you want, man? What's supposed to happen?
Yeah, that gets you a little bit fired up. That's like Blaze doing 16 years and then coming back. And he said that one of the things that they mentioned in court, or somebody mentioned to him, was, you know, well, what are you doing hanging out with those people? And Blaze was, you know, kind of dumbstruck, like, what do you mean? Who did you set me up to?
Super busy.
That's exactly what he said. He said, it's not like people are inviting me to red carpet events. You know, who else am I going to hang out with? You know, it completely. It's not just a lack of rehabilitation. It almost sets you up. What's the opposite of rehabilitation? Like make you worse?
Rehabilitation?
Yeah, I'm cool with
it. It's fucked up, man. And it's like, now, I have an opportunity when I get out, right? And I don't want any of the viewers to ever forget this. I have an opportunity to get out when I get out. And I've been super lucky. But I've never met anyone since I've been in here that's taken the avenue I've taken. Oh, yeah, like here's the plan for success. Go to prison for 12 years for an accident. And then befriend a comedian who's just... You know, like what? And then have a saint mother who will post all your shit and be able to write, and then post all that, and then grind away at that, and then have people like that, and then get public. You know what I mean? Like, this is an anomaly, and I'm still going to have tons of obstacles and struggles when I get out. But I'm not that worried about it. I'm going to, but make no mistake that, like we said before, I'm the exception, not the rule in many instances. You know what I mean?
Know what I'm saying? I worry. I know you say that as far as your health goes, dietary is a major concern of yours. I do think that that's going to be the number one health issue. But man, I can't help but think you're going to be a little bugged for a while.
A little burnt, bugged out?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I'm not yet. Well, I don't, right? That's easy to say.
Of course.
I don't. Do you notice anything different about me? In like a bugged out way?
No, but I just can't. There just can't not be. I mean, you're always having some sort of. I don't know.
Listen, you're right. There's going to be things for sure. We've kind of talked about this, that I had this realization that it's like, oh, no, now it's about managing how fucked up I am.
If I spent a year in a foxhole and I get out of the foxhole, even if I survived the foxhole and ducked all the whizzing bullets or the explosions, the shrapnel, and I get out after a year, I feel like I'd be foolish to think I'm the same.
You're not going to be shell-shocked. Yeah. But life in general fucks you up, I believe. You know what I mean? It's rare you run into someone 10 years later and you're like, oh, he's exactly the same. So I just got to take that. I think I'll be more resilient than I know I'll be more resilient than most people who get out of here. Like a sense of humor and self-awareness and like the outlets like this are definitely help me. Now there are certain things for sure, but I think they're going to be more maybe like social situations, like people being really close to me, like standing really close to me, like I don't know, like in line at a movie theater, like the concession stand or whatever it is. You know, there's going to be the sounds and stuff like that. Maybe some social interactions. Like one of the things I worry about is if I'm out and people throw the bitch word. Like I used to use bitch out there to be like, shut up, bitch, to like my homeboys. But that's going to I think that forever will like stand the hair on my neck on end. If I'm at a bar and some dude's like, hey, I was next, bitch. Like, you know, it's going to be like fucking, like some frat boy. It's like, hey, bitch, I was next. It'd be like, oh, he doesn't know, and this isn't prison. I think that might be a thing. But I don't think it's going to be like, I'm going to be like cradling my knees in a shower fully clothed, like rocking back and forth or nothing like that, you know?
No, I'm sure of that, but I just feel like there's got to be, like, the constant stress hormones that, you know, like we talked about it.
To learn more about Bobby and prison reform, go to notesfromthepen.com. This has been another Notes from the Pen production.